Welcome back to the Hoosier Yanks. We have a new on the Hoosier Yanks. We talk about Canada soccer and U.S. soccer. As I said, this is pretty much picking off on the second part of the video that I just talked about with all the other MLS-based squads getting their action against USL teams or MLS sides. So there's a lot of MLS on MLS in the U.S. Open Cup. But we're picking off where we left off. But as I promised, I was not going to add this part of the video into the last video because that would be 35-minute long. And who wants to just listen for a 35-minute video if you have that attention span? So I'll show you that, but I'll just make it into a new video, especially because I can get into all kind of antics and discussions about who can play what, who I want to see in rivalry games, regional rivalries. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And this is actually the first, and probably, I don't know, I'm saying this now, mainly only time I'm going to do this, given how much I rambled about on the MLS sides. But yeah, we're going to be just doing a pre-video. This is not the official draw, but according to the U.S. Open Cup's Twitter page, they've already listed out each team and their assigned brackets and region groups. So we're going to be just taking a look at the pre-assigned groups and pre-assigned teams. So talking about potential rivalry matchups. Again, I'm probably going to express my feelings for what I want to see versus what I'm really going to get treated to. But that's just the nature of the draw, and there's nothing I can do about it, and that's just the format. But without that, as I said, as promised, let's just talk about our first group that we have here, and we'll go to the Northeast. And that's in this group, according to their Twitter page, Charlotte FC, New England Revolution, New York Red Bulls, and New York City FC, my favorite American club. As I said, I was not sure, and I'm really shocked that, Charlotte group they were going to be in, as Charlotte is arguably Southeast, but I don't judge. I don't determine who's in what. They do that, but I can only just critique and talk about it. But yeah, it seems like we always have that one out team that just doesn't belong in the group, like Philly Union in the Southeast with Florida teams and Tormenta. This time it's Charlotte with the New England Revolution, New York Red Bulls, NYCFC. So it's an all MLS matchup here. But for this one, and then against Charlotte, I would really love to see a Nashville-Charlotte matchup, but they put them in separate groups, which I was unsure about in the last video, but now I know. And New England Revolution, as I said, their potential rivalries can have with the New York Red Bulls, maybe New York City FC, even though I really don't call that a rivalry, maybe Boston Yankees, or maybe the Red Sox and Yankees. Maybe that's a rivalry between those two cities, Boston and New York City, but I'm pretty sure a rivalry between NYCFC and the New England Revolution hasn't really brewed yet, but if so, it's probably on the way, but not as much as the Red Bulls and New England Revolution. And most of all, the game that everybody wants to see, including myself, I'm pretty sure, if I'm speaking for everybody, let me know in the comments if you don't want to see this or if you want to see another rivalry. The Hudson River Derby, New York City versus New York Red Bulls. Give it to us, U.S. Open Cup draw, please. I don't know who's going to be in charge of picking envelopes or however they do this, but please, for my sake, for everybody else's sake, for the competition's sake, this would make a good competition if we could have one of these rivalries. I'm salivating just looking at this. New York Red Bulls versus NYCFC. Please give it to us. Hudson River Derby. Please, I'm begging you. I really want to see a derby matchup between two MLS foes. And as I think that would just make a really, really great game. Sure, New York, New England, that's a rivalry. It's an old rivalry, I-95 derby, but it's an Atlantic Cup technically. Charlotte, with any of these teams, not even a rivalry, but I'm pretty sure it'll make a good game, as well as keeping the dream alive for Charlotte. But New York City and New England, sure, maybe it's a tiny rivalry between Boston and New York City, but not as much as the New York and New York City rivalry. Give it to us, the Hudson River Derby. That's the goal. That's the rivalry I want to see. But as I said in the last video, my luck, we're going to have Charlotte in New York City. We're going to have New England in New York City. We're going to have Charlotte and Red Bulls, New England and Red Bulls, or any other team. It's going to be anybody but those. And I hate it, but I don't know. You can't do anything else about it. But then we jump to our Southeast, which this one bothers me. In the Southeast, we have Nashville. This is why I said Charlotte should be in this one. You could have substituted Lou City for Charlotte, We could have put Louisville City, honestly, because they're more northeastern than Charlotte. Put Lou City in New York City's group. But no, we have Nashville, which, okay, yeah, they belong. Lou City, I mean, I guess if you want to make a USL versus MLS thing, this doesn't make any sense. I would say substitute Charlotte for Lou City, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to do that. And then, of course, you got the two Florida teams, Inter Miami and Orlando City. Okay, this one hands down, Florida Derby. Give it to us. Sure, Nashville, Inter Miami, Nashville, Orlando, Southeastern foes. Even then, in MLS, it's not even the same conference. It's East versus West. But just by my luck, watch. Lou City versus Orlando, Lou City versus Inter Miami. But it's not going to be any of the Florida Derby teams. We're not going to get that unless both teams advance. And it sucks. But that's just the nature of the tournament. But Inter Miami versus Orlando, that's obviously the one game I want to see. Nashville, but watch my luck. Nashville's going to take it, or Lou City, especially if they do the whole one team bids to host and the other team doesn't. It's just given our luck, my luck. We're not going to have that Florida Derby. I'm pretty sure. I want it badly. Everybody else wants it badly, but it's probably not going to happen. And I'm just setting my standards low. That way, if it does happen, I'll be happy, and I'm gonna be a really happy man talking about this later on tonight when I do a recap of the whole draw. But just getting my mind ready for it. It's not happening, and I'm speaking it that way. I don't jinx it, because if I said if it does happen, it's gonna jinx. But just preparing myself, it's probably not gonna happen. We're gonna have even an interleague matchup between any of these teams, and unfortunately, that's a sad reality of it. And if we do that, one of these teams will probably not advance. Maybe they will. Maybe Orlando and Inter Miami advance, but I don't know. Sad, sad truth, but I don't make the rules again. And then I believe in our next to last, maybe we got a few others, but we have the Central Group. Minnesota United. They had, in this one, winner of Minnesota, Colorado, because these were the predetermined games and predetermined group. But I went ahead and blocked out Colorado Rapids for you guys, so you can thank me for that. So now you just see Minnesota, Union Omaha, Houston Dynamo, and Sporting KC. Rivalry matchups in this one. As I said, there's no Texas team in here for Houston Dynamo to match up with. Omaha, I mean, this group out of all of them is probably the most interesting, because anybody really doesn't have a rivalry. Maybe Sporting KC, and not even Colorado's in this group. Or as I said, Colorado didn't advance. Duh. Colorado lost. I just said that. But yeah, there's really no rivalry here. I mean, Minnesota United, maybe Sporting KC, a new rivalry, but that's not even a historic rivalry. So for this group, I don't care who gets who. This is the group I least care about. Any of these teams can match up with anybody for all I care. Union Omaha versus anybody is an interesting interleague matchup. I hope Union Omaha hosts. That way it can make it a little harder for the MLS club to come in and win. But for that, I don't care who gets who in this group. But Minnesota United, this is one of the most interesting groups. Minnesota United is probably going to get Omaha for maybe a little rivalry there. Or Kansas City for Omaha. That would be a pretty good one. But Houston Dynamo being, of course, and Minnesota being the far ends here. Sporting KC and Union Omaha being the closest. I don't care who gets who, honestly. I just want to see a good matchup between all games. So that's the Central Group. And then we go to, I believe, our last one. They call it West, but we can just call it the California Group. LAFC, LA Galaxy, the Sacramento Republic, and San Jose Earthquakes. And as I said in the last video, this would have been an all MLS matchup if Sacramento Republic, if it wasn't for COVID, and Sacramento Republic would still have the funds to be in a joint MLS. But that's not what happened. We do have a USL side in here, and one of them is going to get matched up with any of these teams. In this group, this is probably the most heated group out of all of us. We got a lot of rivalries, even inter-rivalries. It doesn't have to be MLS on MLS rivalries. We could have MLS on USL rivalries, or NorCal, SoCal. I mean, this one is probably going to be, out of all the rivalries, out of all the groups, any of these teams can be rivalries with each other. They're California. Everybody probably hate each other. And then, but the one everybody wants to see, And probably the second best one out of all, after I talk about the first best, El Trafico. I want to see it too. LAFC versus LA Galaxy. El Trafico. Who wouldn't want to see an El Trafico matchup in the U.S. Open Cup? But as I said, if we don't get that, LAFC, I mean, it'll be probably LA Galaxy and San Jose Earthquakes for the second best Cali Clasico matchup. And then, it's a historical matchup, but if for the third one, maybe you can put it out there. San Jose and Sacramento Republic for a NorCal matchup. You got San Jose versus Sacramento. That's a rivalry too, even if it's intra-league. And I don't know, maybe a fourth one, San Jose, LAFC. These teams, I don't know if they're really rivalries on paper, but it's NorCal versus SoCal. Neither team really likes each other. San Jose versus LA. Once again, that's probably a rivalry between San Jose and LAFC. Probably the fourth best one. But once again, first best, El Trafico, hands down. Even more than El Clasico for Cali Clasico. But honestly, this group is up in the air. This is probably a shock. I'm probably fine with any of these games. I mean, I am going to be bummed, of course, for LAFC and LA Galaxy if they don't have it. If they don't have a rivalry, let alone San Jose, LA Galaxy. Because if we don't get El Trafico, at least give us the Cali Clasico. If not, if we don't get any of these rivalries, which by my luck, that's what's going to happen because the draw is weird, then it's gonna hurt. But I mean, hey, these are all California teams battling it with each other. But hey, I mean, I don't make it, and this is gonna be an interesting group, just like the Union Omaha group. But unlike that one, I care. I mean, I don't know. I half care who gets drawn with who, but at the same time, I kind of don't. So this one is half and half for me in terms of the group breakdowns. But nonetheless, those are your groups for your U.S. Open Cup pre-draw. And they're not decided yet, but once again, quick rundown. Your Northeast Charlotte FC, New England Revolution, New York Red Bulls, NYCFC. Your Southeast, Louisville City, Nashville SC, Inter Miami, and Orlando. Your Central, Minnesota, Union Omaha, Sporting KC, and Houston. And finally, your West, or California, just call it that, LAFC, LA Galaxy, Sacramento Republic, and San Jose Earthquakes. And with that, it pretty much does it for the pre-video. As I said, this one was going to be 12 minutes long or 10 minutes long around that time, which I'm glad I did not include in the video. That's a 35-minute video. And as I said, who wants to listen to me ramble or not even watch? I mean, you don't have to watch me. You just listen to it. Turn it into a podcast if you want. But who wants to listen to me ramble and talk about that for 35 minutes straight? So, no. Just make a separate video, and I'm glad I did. But if you like this video, make sure you like, subscribe. Tell your friends about it. Also tell your friends to hit the subscribe and bell notification that you know the videos posted or uploaded. And tell your friends. We'll see what rivalries we get treated to, don't get treated to at all, as well as how many there are. Just all the details about that. We'll find out later tonight, but we'll see you after the draw.